How you doing, everyone? It's Sunday night and it's 8 o'clock and it is time for a Braw Cast. I'm Billy Kirkwood. Relax. I've never heard of me either, but let me tell you a little bit about Braw Cast. First of all, it is brought to you completely free by the sexy MFers at Broad Beard Oils, the UK's premier beard oil company, and as well as that, you can head over and support this podcast by not only liking and subscribing all the Broadbeard social media, but on the run up to Christmas, why not head over to the website and get yourself something sexy for the bearded MFer in your life? I don't know why I'm saying MFer. I'm trying not to swear. I think it's because I've got gastroenteritis. It's been a long night. Right, before we get into the nits and grits of it, what happens every time we do a broadcast? Well, sometimes it could be me and Tosh just kind of shooting the shit. It can be talking to some wonderful individuals from kind of the alternative lifestyle world, if you like. We have had beard models. We have had actors. We have had comedians. We have had musicians. We have had international superstars and so much more. So we bring you something a little bit different. We learn a little bit about them and we have ourselves a couple of laughs. So who do we have for you today? Well, it's a wrestling special. And we've had a couple of these in the past and they've been very, very popular. We've had Damo, we've had Jack Jester, we've had Emily Hayden, the Wrestle Beach, and so many others. And this week, joining me on the show to not only talk about their own career, but we're also going to talk about some wrestling in general. I cannot believe I am this enthusiastic with gastroenteritis. Anything could happen at any point. Honestly, I could get wrung out like a cracker and just shit on the floor. So I'll tell you what, let's keep this striking while the iron's hot. Who do we have for you today? She has wrestled from Copenhagen to Cumnock. She is the basic bitch slayer. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome my very special guest, the wonderful Rubi Roberts. There she is. There she is. There she is. How the bloody hell are you, Rubi? Are you well?
I am fantastic. Coming to the end of an amazing, unbelievable year, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. Now you have, I remember getting to talk to you during the COVID times, the dark times, and
Yes.
one of the big things you wanted to do was get on the European circuit, get out there wrestling internationally, and you've done that this year.
Yes, we did it. From March this year, I have been travelling back and forth to Copenhagen and Sweden, and it's
Very
been
good.
amazing. It's I don't really know how to put it into words, to be honest, because it's something that I've always wanted to do, and I finally got to do it, and it's just as good, if not much more amazing than I ever wanted it to be.
And you've clocked up a lot of wrestling companies in that time. Like you've been working for loads of different places, loads of different people.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I mean, in terms of what we have here in the British scene, and of course the Western scene over in the United States, what's the difference wrestling in Europe? Is there a language barrier?
Oh, right. Okay. So actually, being Scottish is a massive asset to me going over there, because it's kind of really close to Dutch and Danish and all of these sort of Scandinavian languages. There's lots of similarities and the accents aren't that different. So
Yeah.
I went over and they were like, "Oh, we understand you really well." And I'm like, "Same. This is amazing. Thankfully, you all speak more English than I speak Danish, but this is amazing."
When I earlier on this year, I was over doing stuff in Amsterdam and Utrecht, and those guys speak English. They would rather you spoke English than try and speak in their dialogue,
Their language.
because then they're just sitting there going, "What? What are you saying? Can you not just speak English?" I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh God,
It really
I had a really embarrassing moment last time I was there. We were on the road to a show, and I was really hungry, and we kind of have to like get food as you're going when you can get it. So we stopped at this petrol station, and I went in, and for some reason in Denmark they have about 15 different types of hot dog on display at all times in all of these petrol stations. Just like you can just take your pick of any kind of hot dog, and it's like all these different kind of sausages. So I went in, I was like, "Do you know what? I'm having one of them." So the guy's putting it together for me, and I'm like, "I just want my hot dog. Hurry up, I just want my hot dog. Give me my hot dog." And he's like, "Do you want sauce?" And I was like, "Yes." What was it? I said tomato sauce and ketchup. Not ketchup, tomato sauce and mustard. And he goes, "This one?" And points to the mayonnaise. And I'm like, being Scottish, we Egypt there, I'm going, "No, the red one, red sauce. The red one, red."
Red one.
And he's pointing at every other colour, and I'm like, why can't I remember? Why can't I communicate tomato sauce? Why can't I get this across? So then everybody's kind of laughing at me in the queue behind, and it's like everybody's just like getting held up because this. I finally communicated to him, but everybody's like behind me, sort of gathering a crowd.
Right.
And I go outside and I say to one of the Danish wrestlers, I'm like, what's the word for tomato sauce? And he looks at me and he goes, you mean ketchup? And I'm like, yeah, but what's the Danish word for it? And he's like, ketchup. The word is ketchup. And I'm just like, oh, of course it is.
Of course,
yep.
Of course.
Of course it is. Of course it's that very easy universal word for that thing.
And there's you with your bagpipes and your shortbread going, the red sauce. I want the red sauce. You mean you've not got brun sauce? What's going on?
It's all you get. It's red and brun.
Listen, are you a red sauce gal or are you a brun sauce gal? Got to get out of the way. I know you like red sauce in your hot dog, but that's a different game.
Oh,
red sauce?
Yeah, red sauce all the way. I don't know. I've never been a brun sauce lassie.
Nah, never got it. It's a ridiculous. If anyone is watching, some of our international viewers, let me tell you here, in Scotland, if you're getting a roll or dealing with meat in any way, shape or form, it's either red sauce or it's brown sauce. And I don't know. I think it might be a UK only thing, because I'll tell you this now. Anywhere else in the world, I've seen brown sauce. It's been barbecue. But no, I don't know what that. I'm telling you this now. I don't know what that crap is they put in an HP bottle, but it is horrid.
It always tasted to me as if they'd put off vinegar in it.
Oh.
Like I just can't. No, I can't do it.
As someone that has gastroenteritis, that is a horrible. My dad always had a bottle. That nobody else touched. And I would still remember him going like, don't touch your dad's brun sauce. And I was being like, it's not happening, mate. It's not happening. This is a hollow threat. I did not think...
reverse psychology, like he was trying to get you to like it by going, don't touch it now. Just leave it.
Crafty bastard. Crafty bastard. Well, it didn't work. But what a year it's been. And, of course, you've been getting out there straight out the gates after we were locked up in COVID. I saw you wrestling for so many different companies. And, of course, you're looking fantastic. You're out there. I know you've been training so hard and trying to get in the best shape of your life. Was that important to you to make an impact as soon as you got out? Because I know you were training through lockdown. You were keeping yourself fit. You were working really hard. Was that important to you to want to do that, to make that impact when you got back out there?
Yeah, so I actually had like my debut right before COVID. My very first match happened, and then 2 months later, everything started locking down and everything started going to shit. Yeah. And it was like a bit of a false start, because it was like, right, I finally did it, and now I can't do anything. But thankfully, because during COVID, because my cousin had his own wrestling school and no one else was allowed to go into it, and at the time we were working with each other during COVID, so we were allowed to be in each other's company because we literally had to work with each other all day anyway. I would just get the keys off Bobby. I would go in and I would just train and start planning for what I would do when COVID was over, because there was nothing else to do. There was work, and then there was home. So I just poured absolutely everything, every spare ounce of boredom, unused ADHD energy, everything just directed straight at I want to do wrestling my way. So how am I going to do it? What am I going to be? What do I want to say? Like, what am I doing? So that when we did finally get to go, I was like, right, let's do this.
And I know as well, obviously, you're putting like you talked about all that creative energy. One of the big things in pro wrestling, kind of like with bands and kind of like comedians, I guess, to a certain degree, is you always want to have like that. Is it the USP? Is it the USP? Is it US? What do they call it? The US unique selling point? USP. USP. And you've got yours as the basic bitch slayer.
Yes.
I gotta ask, because so many, we never, you'll tune into WWE or NXT and what have you, and people just appear and we never get to really hear their backstories in terms sometimes of their characters. What is the backstory of the basic bitch slayer?
Okay, so you know how everybody in wrestling has that thing that when they grew up, they were obsessed about it. Yeah. Like they had wrestling, and then they had there's something else that you were just obsessed about. Mine was Buffy. I remember I think I was 7 the first time it came on, and it was BBC Two, and my dad, for some reason, was like, "Hey, this show about vampires, that's good viewing for my 7-year-old. Let's go." So from then on, I was obsessed with the show, and I mean to the point where my mother keeps trying to convince me that I should go on Mastermind and have it as my special interest.
Oh my! Has that ever been done?
Yeah, one other person did it, and my mum shouted me through when it was on, and she was like, do you want to do this? And I'm just sitting there, and I think I was maybe 12 at the time, And I was like, yeah, okay. And they launched into the questions, and I was getting more of them right than the woman that was doing it. And my mum's literally like, you should go do this. I'm like, nah, because I don't really read books, so I'd be shit at the rest of it.
I love that. We should totally do that. Maybe next year we should do like a broadcast wrestling mastermind, and wrestlers can come on, but they have to pick a wrestling subject. They have to pick a specialist subject that has nothing to do with wrestling.
I would love that. So you've got like your general wrestling knowledge and then your special interest.
Yeah. And now your specialist round. Buffy the Vampire Slayer seasons 1 to 4. Okay, here we go.
Cool, no problem. But yeah, like, so it was like that level of obsession. Like, I have dolls, I have collectibles, I have comic books, I have every DVD. And it's like, yeah, it's quite an obsession. And for me, growing up, it was one of those huge influences, because for me, I was very lucky that in the 90s, when I grew up, there was suddenly this absolute inflood of like women being amazing. So you had like Xena Warrior Princess, you had Charmed, you had Buffy, you had Sabrina the Teenage Witch, you had all of these various levels at various sort of age stages of just women being amazing and leading their own shows. So I grew up in this pure like, yeah, women power, like China's the best wrestler, like everything's amazing. I grew up with that and wanted to sort of bring that into my character. Like I wanted to try and maybe do that for other people, like just be a badass woman, go in, kick ass, take names, walk back out again.
Yes. So in your mind, this is as well like a BBC Two 6 o'clock TV show. We have Ruby Roberts, Basic Bitch Slayer. I think I'll be honest, I think that would have been a hit in the 90s. I think it'd be a hit now. But it would have been a big hit in the 90s. Although it was funny, a friend of mine who's a professor of psychology, how ridiculous is that? Who doing stand-up tutorials with, actually kept talking about how Buffy, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and April O'Neil from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Hero Turtles, all wonderful and incredible, empowering women, were also a lot of lesbian origin stories. And I was like, good for you guys. Good for you guys. Mine's too. Yes. But let's talk some wrestling. Wrestling. You were talking about how far you've come in a short space of time. One of the questions that definitely come in, and loads of people have been talking about this, is Logan Paul. Right? Is Logan Paul? What is your opinion? First of all, I've got to watch myself here because there's two different questions I'm asking, I guess. Yes. What do you think of Logan Paul as a person?
Okay, so I was introduced to Logan Paul years ago when one of my younger siblings showed me one of his YouTube videos. And I remember thinking at the time, what is this plonker doing? Yeah. Like, why is this getting views? Like, just at the time, as somebody who had no idea who he was, I've sort of obviously been exposed to him, as everybody has, as he's gotten more famous and he's had more scandals and all these things have happened. And to be honest, I think the guy's just doing what he needs to do to get what he wants. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, it's a performance. Yeah. It's all a performance at the end of the day. Yeah. So if he wants to change from YouTube to then boxing to then MMA to then wrestling, then why not? Like,
and then the, like you say, the mad bugger has now taken the dip. I think he has signed a contract with WWE. He has a contracted talent with them. And if anyone has had the chance to see any of Logan's work in WWE, and it's this, that Logan Paul, just to make clear, that Logan Paul, Jake Paul's brother, he's done boxing himself, like that guy is now in WWE. What do you think about him as a wrestler?
What I'll say is that what he's managed to achieve and the skill level that he's managed to achieve in the short amount of training time that he's had is pretty amazing. Like, I know he was a very fit guy to begin with, but I've known people to walk into a wrestling school who do martial arts or do some kind of bodybuilding, powerlifting. They're so used to doing that one thing, but when they try and do wrestling, it absolutely knocks them sideways because it's not like anything else. It involves every single bit of mind, body, willpower, memory, everything. So the fact that he's managed to go from what he knew in boxing and MMA to translating that into backflipping off top ropes, jumping out of rings, doing death-defying shit that, I'll be honest, I'm still scared to even attempt. Like, kudos to the guy. Like, I can't touch that. Like, he's done really well.
And one of the big things for anyone that's tuning in going, you're talking about wrestling, is a big thing is the storytelling aspect of it, is the psychology of it. And I know he's surrounded by like the best in the business. Like, you know, when you've got, you know, Paul Heyman in your ear, when you've got Shawn Michaels in your ear, when you've got The Undertaker in your ear, you're only going to get good. But his matches have been ridiculous. I've had people that know nothing about wrestling, but remember him on Vine. There's a trip. Remember him all the way in Vine going, is this guy like the WWE champion? And you're like, no, he's not. No. And don't ever say those words again. How dare you?
No.
Let's not give anyone any ideas at this point. I don't want Keyboard Cat to be one half of the tag team champions. I don't need it.
I'm fully for gimmick matches and I'm fully for people jumping in, giving it a go and stuff, but I feel like titles and championships mean something. They matter. Yeah. They have to be honoured in the fact that they matter. So I feel like for it to go that way that quickly without any kind of build up or like a bigger sort of story arc towards it, it just, I feel like it would have kind of shat in a title. I really feel like
he clearly cares. Like I'll give him his due. He doesn't need to do this. Like he clearly cares. But it's the type of thing that if Logan Paul were to win the WWE Championship, then it's like, cool, dude. Yeah, you need to be on TV every day. You need to be on TV every week. Like that's you just can't come in for the big matches. But he's talented.
You know what comes to mind? The Triple H speech from Tough Enough. This is 280 odd days of the year, and you don't see your family, and like that whole thing. It's like, like if you get that, that is the cost. That is the price. You are doing that.
That's it. But no, I mean it's incredible stuff. I only say someone literally. I asked for some questions online just before we did this. First question that came in, and it's with that kind of like, what do you think of Logan Paul? And it's like, you know, he's doing good stuff. I can't really give him a hard time. He's doing good stuff because some celebrities come into wrestling and they're absolutely shite. But it was him, Floyd Mayweather, who still had that cracking match with the Big Show at WrestleMania one year. I can't really think of any of the other good ones. Everyone says
good at wrestling, but I really enjoyed it, was the Jackass guys.
Yes!
Just because I grew up on Jackass, so I was just like, yes.
When they what I liked about that was the Umaga segment. If you remember, like I know there was the Johnny Knoxville one at Sami Zayn, which was I thought was brilliant. I really loved. But if you go back a couple of years, there's Steve-O and Chris Pontius with Umaga on Raw, and poor Steve-O was beaten so senseless that he forgot what he should do and shouldn't do. So so he basically got flattened, and he was worried that he was meant to get back up. So he's in the worst pain imaginable. He is trying to get up, and of course you got Big Umaga. It's like, what the fuck's this guy doing? This is disrespectful. Wham! And it's like, oh, that's such a shame, but fun to watch. Apparently his arsehole was badly bruised. True story. Let's talk a little bit about pro wrestling in the UK. It's an exciting time to be involved in pro wrestling because there's loads of different things coming out. Everything is opening up. What is it you're into right now in wrestling, just in general, or just in the UK? What is some of the stuff that you're into right now that you go, I want more of this?
Oh, so this is going to sound incredibly feminist of me, but like women, all the women, like, so basically at the moment I'm just kind of loving seeing that there's so many newer girls coming up, and there's so many different people. Like there's no two folk that are exactly the same. Everybody's gone. I feel like because everybody got so much time to sort of ponder their own life, everybody's going, no, this is who I am. I've been stuck in my own company the whole way through COVID, and now I know exactly who I am. Let's go. But I've been loving seeing just the sheer amount of women's matches that are on shows. The fact that I've been seeing a lot more than just one women's match and a full card and stuff like that.
And it's a part of the show. It's not like it's an attraction, but it's not an attraction. It's part of the big matches, part of the show. Nobody's turning around and looking at gender necessarily. Everything is slotting in and being a part of the show. I mean, look at WrestleMania. We're getting female wrestlers now headlining the card, as they should, because they're big money matches, and we want to bloody watch them. And I think that's great. I mean, I always remember when I knew there was going to be a change in pro wrestling. Like, I knew there was a big change in the Western world because I was at New Orleans. I don't want to boast. I was at New Orleans, and I remember seeing this young girl walking down, and she had a T-shirt on. I think she had maybe a Bailey thing on or something, and she had a replica championship belt. Now, I've never been nice about folk with replica championship belts, in all fairness. I've always been a little cruel, but never mind. Yeah. She had the replica championship belt, but it was the women's world title. And I remember going, she was like, I don't know, 7, 8 tops, and thinking, that's cool as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool as fuck. Because her Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the athletes and the wrestlers she's seen every week in WWE, you know, and I just thought, that's cool. She doesn't like mom or dad, and also mom and dad are cool, and they're like, right, well, the women's title it is, that's the one you want, that's cool. And I just thought, it's always that image that is burned in my head of going like, fuck man, this is happening. This is happening.
It's a fun. I don't know. It makes me so happy because it was something that I always wanted to see more of when I was a wee girl. Because like there was your women's division for the most part in my head. I remember Chyna and Lita because they were
some great athletes in there, some great wrestlers.
Amazing wrestlers at the time. But for me as a wee girl, I just tuned in on those two. I'm like, I want to dress like you and jump out like you, and I want to be a badass, scary bitch like you.
Yeah.
And like, so to see that sort of evolving, and then you saw the Divas division later on really grow and start to evolve and have proper characters in it. They were fleshed out, and they weren't just eye candy, they were people, and they had grudges, and they were slapping the shit out of each other. And for I was like, that's when I kind of started being like, oh, this is like a thing. This is we're getting equal footing. We're getting there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be our boys.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, like, I've always said, and I'm not saying it to score points with anyone in the British Isles or anything, I swear I'm not, but a lot of the revolution in women's wrestling, I mean, it's always been huge in Japan. It's always been huge in Japan. But in here, in the Western world, I think a lot of the revolution actually started here in the UK. I'm just going to come out and say it. We started producing some incredible athletes here. I mean, going all the way to Kaylee Ray and and Carmel, and what they did here, and they became a big attraction, a part of the show. Kaylee Ray, Viper, the list goes on and on and on and on. And now there's a new generation, and you said it because it's kind of important. Like, here I am wearing my Molly Spartan t-shirt. Thanks again, Molly. I appreciate it. She scares me. But the thing is, just a wee bit, just enough to keep me in line. I believe is the plan. Just enough to keep me in line.
Like, she scares me a bit, but I'm also like, oh, I want to fight you. I mean,
yes.
You're going to batter me probably, but I want to fight you.
But I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of loads of not that they need my pride in any, but what is, like you're saying, athletes are coming through. They're a part of the attractions. They know who they are. They know when they are on level footing, and they're making a huge impact. Making a huge impact, and I just think it's very cool to see. Who's your favourite in women's wrestling just now? Then who's one that you go boom? Because I mean, WWE's got a pretty stacked roster, and I think they're going to start adding some of the names which they bizarrely released for some fucking reason. But they got a pretty stacked roster. Them in TNA, AEW to a lesser degree. But I think there's work to be done there. Who you into right now in women's wrestling?
So I'm a nightmare because I can never pick a favourite of anything. Like, I have so many categories.
Give me a couple of your favourites. Give me a couple of your favourites.
So I, obviously being the massive, like, Chyna fangirl that I am loving what Rhea Ripley's doing right now.
Yeah.
Like, so much. But she's not just a rip-off of Chyna. She's doing her own. I'm a confusing, big woman who just doing her own thing. Like, I love this whole mammy, pappy, like, I'll be whatever you want me to be, like, attitude. Like, I'm just the da.
Rhea's dialed in to, like, I don't know, I think she's, like, I honestly think she's the female athlete at the moment. Like, she's kind of dialed into, where we are in terms of, I'm going to come out and say it, gender balance, sexuality, all that type of thing. I'll come out and say it. But it's also cool, because she is very, very cool. Destructive. She knows exactly what she's doing, and honestly, I don't even think she's at her prime yet. Although I will say, some people online need to calm the fuck down with some of the Rhea Ripley comments you guys put out there. You just need to settle the fuck down. Oh my god, have a cold shower or something, whatever's wrong with you. Rhea's fantastic.
Scary place for that. Just every so often you'll get a random one. You're just like, oh my god, calm down. Bye bye.
Fucking hell! I have many friends and athletes have trusted in me, male and female, have trusted in me. Some of the things they've been saying, it's like, settle down, settle the fuck down. Couple of questions. So we've got Rhea Ripley. Any other people that you kind of go, these I'm into just now? I'm a big fan of Mandy Rose. I think Mandy Rose is fantastic.
I quite like Mandy Rose. I really love the energy that woman gives off. Just she can do something as subtle as twerk her eyebrow at somebody, and you just know the level of bitch that is exuding off of her is like waves, and it's the subtlest wee thing. And I love that she doesn't need to go pure over the top with anything, because she can convey exactly what she needs to say with just the subtlest of movements, and I love that. Because I'm not like that at all.
You'll get there. You'll get there. Come on.
I'm like hand gestures, this, that.
Jade Cargill's also a favourite of mine over in AEW. Probably the Shining. Well, I'm not saying the Shining Light. They've got Nyla Rose, of course, who I always think is fantastic. I don't know why she's not on my TV every week. A little puzzled by it, but there we go. One of the Vicious Vixens. Jade Cargill's fantastic. Britt Baker's okay. And I'm probably pure burying myself there. It's like, she's okay. That's all I've got to say. She's all right. She's all right. Moving on. I think there's been times where I've went, she's brilliant. And that's it. I'm not talking about, like, again, what a wonderful discussion to have in 2022. We're not talking about gender. We're just talking about the wrestler. It's like, there's times when it's like, she's nailing it. And then there's other times it's like, is everything all right? It's just like, it's
like, you good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
okay.
other times it's not really clicking. In terms of who else do we have in terms of up-and-comers? In the UK, we've got a very rich scene just now, which is fantastic. Is there anyone you would like to work with? You mentioned Molly. Obviously, we've got the likes of Casey. And we've got up-and-comers like Daisy Jenkins, of course, who only recently...
I worked Daisy very recently, and I had the best time. I would happily let that lassie battle lumps at me again. 100% want to repeat. Like, definitely.
Daisy's going to get it. Daisy, I mean, she's going to get it. It's all... I know she's very new, but she's going to get it. You get the feeling. And great theme music, by the way, I should hasten to add. Stuff she has at ICW is ridiculous. It's ridiculous how much I'm into that music. It
suits her so well, and she's just such a wee bouncy, bubbly thing of energy, and I'm like, damn it, it suits her so well. I can't not like it.
Anyone else you're into or you would be interested in working with?
Okay, so I'm terrible, because whenever I get asked this, I'm like, everyone. I want to work with everyone, like male, female, intergender, like non-gender, non-binary, like everyone. I want to work with everyone on every level, because that's the only way I'm going to learn as much as possible and be the best wrestler that I can be. So I'm like, everyone.
So let me think of. I'm trying to think of other
so like
athletes.
If I would say one right that I know is ridiculous, because I know it's probably never going to happen because she's on WWE now, but I always wanted to wrestle Viper, because it was like a big thing, because we're from the same area, and like I would have just have loved to have gotten the chance to do that before she ascended. You never know. You never know what the future's going to hold, but I always really wanted to get a match with her. Like, it was always kind of like a personal goal thing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That would be the Clash at Kilburnie. I don't know what they would call it. The Clash at Kilburnie, I don't know.
That was the thought. It was like a discussion before COVID happened. Like right before COVID happened, there was discussion happening that we were thinking, if Respect was still around, that we were going to maybe do a show in our local school that we both attended. And it was going to be a thing, but then COVID happened, and then everything else, and then the Ascension happened. And I was just like, oh, bye.
Man, I wonder if that has ever happened in pro wrestling. Like, I wonder if they're like two people wrestling in the school they both went to.
I don't know, but I think it would be amazing.
Well, if you're listening, Viper, she's still Dewdrop. She's still Dewdrop, isn't she?
Still Dewdrop, yeah.
I've come to terms with the name, but it's funny how everybody still calls her Viper. Just saying.
Yeah, like, it suits her better. Like, I get, obviously, Randy Orton's the Viper, but she's Viper.
Yeah, she is Viper. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Although Randy Orton only this morning was buzzing about TikTok, and I love wrestling fan theories, man. Especially when they are so wrong. Like when they are so wrong.
Just out there.
Well, this morning was, everyone knows, if you've never, Bray Wyatt is a huge character. I'm a huge fan of Bray Wyatt. I love the mythology and stuff that goes behind everything he does. He's really subtle. He seems to understand the art of storytelling, taking it to different places. Waking up this morning, somebody's turning around and telling me, oh, Randy Orton is Uncle Howdy. And it's like, I don't think Randy Orton's Uncle Howdy. I really don't think he's Uncle Howdy. I don't even know why you're thinking that. Unless he is. Unless he is. It's like your wrestling equivalent of Five Nights at Freddy's. Everyone's got a bloody theory on it.
Oh, God, yeah.
Couple of questions coming in. Well, we'll hit a couple of these before we get back into some a little more wrestling talk. I know you're a big horror fan, Ruby.
Yes.
So, questions you like? We had Gentleman Ram. Had sent us. Do you know Gentleman Ram?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
he's very, very, very dear friend.
But, that's fine then, because I'm a bit worried for a second. And he said, who is your favourite character of horror? Who's your favourite horror character?
So, Ghostface.
Really?
It's such a, I know it's such a basic one, but it was, ironically, but it was the first horror film that I saw was Scream. I snuck into my mum's bedroom and watched, on a wee shitty black and white telly, I watched Scream on Channel 4. And it was the first ever horror film that I saw, and I just latched onto it so hard. I loved it so much. I was just like, this is part of my identity forever now.
I love that. I absolutely love that. What's your opinion of Scream 5 without Neve Campbell?
So that would be, I think it's Scream 6's.
I think you're right.
Scream 6's without. So Scream 5, Neve Campbell was in it very briefly.
Yeah, I always do this. I forget about Scream 4.
Yeah.
And there was a Scream 4, and then there was a gap, and then there was another Scream, and now they're going to do another Scream. So you're absolutely right. Scream 6.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
I think they should just stop now, because it's like Halloween without Jamie Lee Curtis. It's just never as good when she's not there. Okay, and to be fair with that franchise, it's still terrible when she is there, but you feel better because she's there.
Wow. Throwing shade at the shape. Throwing shade at the shape.
The one where they killed her off, I'm like, right, you did it. You went too far. You took her away, and you have just, right, no. I was like, you time out. Go sit in the corner. You killed Laurie Strode. That's enough.
Was that a Halloween Resurrection with Busta Rhymes?
Oh, I think, yeah, Like, I've watched them all, but, like, I basically rewatch my favourite ones and then just pretend the other ones aren't there. I'm just like, right, we'll only bring you out at Halloween when we have to watch you because it's the law.
I do that with the Phantasm movies because I'm a complete nerd. I do that with the Phantasm movies. I try and ignore 5. 5 didn't happen, but never mind. Moving on. It's the last one as well. A couple more wrestling questions to get into it, and we certainly got to talk about your genesis, the origins of you getting into wrestling.
Yes.
Why did you want to become a pro wrestler? I know I hate this question. I hate this question. Like, what was your first gig? Why did you want to get into comedy? All these type of things. I hate this question, but I understand it. Like, where was I'm going to get into pro wrestling, and this is what I'm going to do. How was that journey for you?
Okay, so I'm going to pre-warn you, this is a bit of a bumpy up and down roller coaster answer. So I loved wrestling when I was a wee girl, as I said before. I was a massive Attitude Era baby. I was obsessed with Chyna and Lita and Stone Cold. I wanted to marry him, and Triple H, and apparently I was just going to have a harem of wrestling husbands. And this was
weird, but there we go.
I was just like, I'm going to marry that one and that one and that one, and he's going to teach me how to do that move, and he's going to teach me how to do that move. But being the very rambunctious tomboy wanting to wrestle wee lassie that I fought with my little brothers constantly. Like, my poor mother had 3 of us in the house. There's 7 of us all together, but like split family. She had the 3 oldest ones, and we would legitimately go like full mania level of, we're going to have a wrestling match right in the middle of this living room fairly regularly. And the problem was, I ended up putting one of my brothers through our brand new, very heavy, very box-like 90s television that my mum had just managed to get onto the little unit, because it was very heavy and it took like 3 of us. My brother ran at me, and my first response was to just grab him and throw him over, suplex straight
Nice.
over into the TV, and was immediately banned from ever watching or playing wrestling ever again. So, yeah, and she took it very seriously. Like, my gran was told we weren't allowed to watch at her house. My cousins were told they weren't allowed to bring stuff over. Like, I wasn't, like, absolutely not. That's you banned from it. And it wasn't.
Did that make you want to watch it even more?
Yeah, but like, I didn't have a computer in the house at the time. It was very, like, I didn't really have access to it, and none of my friends really liked wrestling.
Right.
So I didn't really have access to it. So it's something that I ended up kind of shelving. Like, I always enjoyed it, but I wasn't allowed to do it, and I got interested in other things and boys. So I kind of...
They're the worst.
Yeah, they are. They're
they're terrible distractions, I find.
They really are. I was like, I really needed to focus, but, you know... So years later, I was actually, a friend took me to a Fierce Female show in the Arches. I think it was like one of the very, very early ones, like possibly the first one.
I think it might have been. I think that was you'll forgive me, I think it was Viper versus Carmel Jacob main event. I think I might have called it.
Yes.
Or was it? No, I'm full of shit. Kaylee Ray. Carmel Jacob, because I remember somebody went through an ironing board, and I remember going, well, that's not right. That's not right.
My leaving memory of that match was Kaylee's tiny little shorts were safety pinned to her thigh, which was then subsequently trying to pull them down, but they were also pinned to her back, so they were not moving. Yeah, but I got taken to see that and was just instantly like, I forgot I love this shit. Oh my God. Like, yes, I want to do this. Also, that was when I saw that Viper was wrestling, and I was like, I know you. I went to school with you. This is cool. How did I not know this was a thing? I need to speak to you. And ended up going along to Source Wrestling School for a while. And yeah, no, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. But I then got an injury at my shoot work, and dislocated my shoulder and bit my rotator cuff.
Oh,
so yeah, I got surgery on my shoulder. It was really bad. It took 3 years for me to get like full motion in my shoulder again.
Jesus.
So, and I know there's more to it. Like, there's a whole massive thing. So during that time as well, I actually developed a condition called fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain condition. It causes like chronic fatigue, chronic pain, brain fog, loads of other like mental symptoms. And I had a walking stick. So I was at the time classed as physically disabled, and I couldn't really do a lot of anything. I was in a huge amount of pain all the time. And I bumped into my cousin Bobby, who turned around and was like, I'm opening my own wrestling school. Do you want to try and maybe, he's like, I'm a trained PT, I've got this qualification. Like, you know what Bobby's like. He's like, I've got all these qualifications. Here you go. Evidence, proof. There you go. And he was like, do you want to try and rehabilitate yourself using wrestling? Because you really enjoyed it when you were doing it before. He's like, it's something that works every muscle in your body, so you never know, it might help. And I was like, do you know what? At this point, I've tried literally everything else. Nothing's working. So yes.
You're like, fuck yes.
I'm going to be in pain every day anyway. I might as well have some fun doing it. Let's just go. So yeah, my initial intention when I came back into it was just to try and get moving, to try and get some mobility back and get to live my life a bit more, because at that point it was literally a case of I was living in my house because I couldn't really go anywhere, and it was crap. And when I did make an effort to go anywhere, I was so exhausted by the time I got back that I then couldn't do anything for like a week at a time. So I was just like, right, cool, do you know what, let's just throw ourselves at this, let's just do it, because I do really enjoy it. And the more I did it, the more I realised that I didn't just enjoy it, like I really love doing this. Like, it's something that I really enjoy on every level, like not just actually watching wrestling or just doing it. I really enjoy discussing it with other people, being able to help other people out, being able to brainstorm with people, come up with ideas, talk storylines, talk mad crazy moves that you could put together to make some kind of mad mental stringy thing, and then get to like go through it with people and play it out and see how it would work out, land on your face, realise it doesn't work. Like every single bit of the full process, I just absolutely loved it. And yeah, through that I've lost the 8 stone and I don't have a walking stick and I'm now wrestling, and it's
8?
Yeah, 8 stone.
Oh my
Originally
God.
started wrestling, I was just short of 19 stone.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like,
Holy.
see when I say, like, I've
Well,
got
that's
there
an
are pictures
incredible achievement
online.
on its own. But
Yeah.
making that transition into, like you say, repairing your body, rehabbing your body, and then excelling at what you do now, that's incredible. God, some people would just settle for one of those things, Ruby. Some people would just settle for one of those, and you decided to do them all.
Yeah. I've never really been a person who just kind of goes, oh, well, that's right, I've done that. That's cool. I've always been the kind of person that's like, right, I've done that. What else can I do? Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do that? Oh, can I paint this? Maybe I can make resin. Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could be a wrestler. Maybe I could do that. And just, it's just constant.
So, we got to ask you, like, and I always love asking this to wrestlers, as I would ask with comics and what have you. Any in-match disasters, all those bad matches that you just go, oh, you replay in your head again and again and again. And I know that's not healthy before anyone gives me a shout. I know that, but sometimes you kind of revel in them a little bit. Have you got any for me?
Yes, I feel like as well with them, if the more you kind of do that, the more you make yourself laugh at it, and the more you make yourself okay with it.
Exactly. It's a lesson to learn. It's a lesson to learn.
I had a match with Ellie Armstrong for Pro 2, where I had been, I really enjoy wrestling Ellie. I would love to do it as much as possible. Again, quite happily let her batter lumps at me. It's brilliant. But yeah, we were wrestling for Pro 2. And it was originally meant to be a triple threat, but Rosie Knight had an injury. So we changed the plan at the last second, and we changed it to just me and Ellie. And I had been practicing this, like, I don't really jump a lot, or didn't used to, being a lot heavier before. I wrestled completely differently. It was all me big, you small, I throw you. I don't leave my feet. And now I'm trying to like completely change that now that my body's changed and I've got different ability types. I'm trying to jump more and use the ropes more and like utilize my entire environment. And I'd been practicing coming in over the top rope and like sunset flip. Went to do it. Oh no, sorry, roll in over the top of the back and hit running was what I was trying to do.
I know what you mean.
Oh, that did not happen. What happened was I did not give myself enough momentum. So I got my legs up and I got my head and shoulders on top of Ellie and then was just stuck upside down with my legs kind of wiggling. And then I had to try and rectify the situation in a way that didn't look completely awful. So I tried to turn it into a sunset flip. Did not do that. Fell sideways and just kind of was like, fuck, I'm just going to run. I'm just going to go. I just continue the plan. Just keep going. But I watched it on, like I was sitting going, no, see when these things happen, it always feels slower in your head. It always feels like it's been working. No, it's bad. I'm upside down for like at least a second, just kind of like a baby turtle with her legs in the air, like, eh.
Oh, well, I know what you mean. It's just a second, but it feels like 40 minutes, and you go, no, it won't be that bad. And it's like, did you hear about Ruby being upside down for 3 hours?
Yeah, like 3 hours. Okay? I did also get a concussion and completely screw up a pin that ended up all over Twitter.
Okay.
Which was I was wrestling for W3L, and
you guys threw in Fife kind of area.
I think it was Livingston kind of.
Livingston, yep. Sorry.
I'm trying to remember where the exact. So it's not Gala Shields. That's the other one that I did that year, but I'm trying to remember. No, I can't. But it's near that way anyway. And I got a clothesline and I didn't quite tuck my chin and smashed my head really badly off the canvas, which was like you can see in the video the instant my brain just goes, why have you done this? Because my eyes cross and everything. I'm like, oh my God. We go through the next sequence. I managed to do that, like, even though everything's like spinning. I go for the pin, and for some reason in my brain, I confused like horizontal and vertical, and I've went to grab Emily Hayden's wrist and push it down on the mat to hold her down. What I've actually done is just kind of held it mid-air and just presented her arm. I mean, I got her shoulders down, but like I'm just kind of like, I've put her arm vertical instead of horizontal, but I've not realised because of my head injury that I've done the wrong thing and didn't realise until I'd watched it back, and I'm like, what am I doing?
So you're trying to pin her with her arm in the air.
No, like I was trying to pin her. So I was trying to pin her flat with an arm flat against the ground. But I've just lifted her arm up like I can't really show in the camera properly. Like this, instead of being flat on the ground,
Like this then.
I've just done this. I've just held her wrist in the air, like for no reason. And then it got
unique.
Picture of it, a close-up picture of it was taken and put on Twitter. And then a big debate amongst all the referees happened where they're like, should this have counted? This should not have counted. This should not have been counted. Why was this counted to 3? And I'm just like, I hit my head, guys. Sorry. Like,
well, listen, you're just causing controversy wherever you go, and that's what the basic bitch slayer does. Yes.
Yeah. It's quite, thankfully, it's quite fortunate that that's been worked into my character, given that I just kind of accidentally do that by existing anyway. So I'm like, oh, well.
Right, we got to ask, and we'll wrap up in just a little second. Of course, we'll make sure to tag it. Everyone that's watching, make sure to check out Ruby on all our social media, see what she's up to when she's making her trips over into Europe, and of course all the matches and all the places she's going to be wrestling right here in the UK. But before we do that, I wanted to ask one thing. What's the plans for the future? What is the plans for the future of the Basic Bitch Slayer?
So the plans are the same as before, to be honest, to wrestle as many different countries as possible, as many different people as possible. I want to try and learn as much as possible.
Yeah.
If I was ever lucky enough to, in the future, get any kind of tryout, that would be amazing. But it's not like my main goal. My main goal is mostly just to enjoy what I'm doing and get to learn and do as much of it in the time that I've got as possible.
So when you say like when you say like tryout, you mean like maybe NXT Europe or WWE or something like that?
That's like, if I was asked like, what's a realistic goal? What's your kind of like, if you could just shoot your shot for it goal, that would be my kind of shoot my shot for it goal. If I really wanted to try and shoot for something ridiculous, I would want to try and do that. But realistically, I just want to be happy wrestling. And if I get to do cool stuff along the way, then I'm quite happy. I will actually, because I was going to mention something earlier and I completely forgot about it, and I'm going to squeeze in really badly. I'm actually really excited because CCW, who I've been wrestling for the last year over in Denmark, have just been accepted into the European Union of Wrestling Alliance.
Right, so that's the UEWA?
Yes, which is fantastic, but it also potentially means that there is going to be more avenues to get to work through the UEWA. So I am hoping in the future that that's something that translates and I get to do that as well.
There you go. We could see you from Sulcoats to Switzerland. It
yes,
could be anyone's.
Especially because Pro 2 have just been accepted as well.
So, really? Oh, there we go.
That was just announced yesterday. So I am very much looking to see what exciting opportunities come out of that as well.
Well, listen, that'll be great. Everyone can check out. I've got to ask, any merch the folk can get their hands on?
At the moment, I have 8x10s. I am just selling them basically through my social media at the moment, but I am in the works getting a t-shirt and a couple of other things put together that will be available next year.
A trumpet sock, beer coasters, soda stream carrying case.
Just my face and logo on everything. I'm just absolutely everything.
Krusty the Clownness.
Rubi Roberts special edition yellow glasses and everything.
I'll get them done. That's definitely going to happen. Everyone, our very special guest on this episode of Braw Cast, the wonderful Rubi Roberts. Rubi, I'm going to pop you into the green room and I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you very much for talking to us, and we will.
Thank you for having me.
Soon. Cheers. Right, that's all we got time for on this episode of Braw Cast. We are going to be back with another episode in the next couple of weeks. Don't forget to head over and check out everything JJ's doing over in Broadbeard social media. We've got vlogs and so much more coming up, particularly as we are on the run to the big Broadbeard and Mustache Championships in February 2023. Tickets are flying, but you don't want to miss out. Head over to the website, grab your tickets as soon as you can. We have got music, we've got entertainment, and of course we've got the Broadbeard and Mustache Championships and so much more fun. I've been Billy Kirkwood, because someone has to be, and I'm going to see you the next time right here on Braw Cast. Cheers!